At one time or another, we've all been caught in the rumor mill, whether we're privy to a juicy piece of information or the victim of it. Well, today, relationship expert Katerina Spiewak is here, and we're going to talk all about gossip. But before we get started, ladies, have you ever been the victim of gossip?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Well,
yes.
Divulge.
Okay, I'll go first.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. No, I was hosting. I started my career in television doing the Greek show. And there was a rumor floating around that I was a lesbian, which is fine if I was, but I'm not. And it ended up in the Greek newspaper, too. Like, did you know that? Kind of thing. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Family must have been very proud of you.
Yeah, still are.
I had a lesbian rumor. It didn't end up in the newspaper, but it was from a girl that I was hanging out with, and she used to sleep around with a lot of different guys, and she always, it's just not my speed. So she kind of figured out, you know what? She doesn't do what we do, so that must mean that she's a lesbian. And then she told everybody, and it's like, I knew. She told her dad, she told her sister, and it was like, hello, I'm not a lesbian.
So why do women gossip?
Several reasons. One of the reasons, like the negative, malicious gossip, is to assert a sense of power or control or influence. People feel important when they're privy to that kind of information. They may have had a hidden agenda. They wanted to make you look bad. They wanted to make themselves feel better. When people have self-esteem issues, they want to elevate themselves by diminishing other people.
Not that being
Jealousy.
a lesbian is bad, but it's not the truth.
No,
If I was, I'd be out there. But,
Exactly. But speculation leading to rumors, that kind of thing, it's from a sense of power and control that they want to exert over other people.
Now, do men gossip as much as women do? Because I know everybody thinks that women gossip more.
Yes, they do. Studies show that men gossip just as much as women do.
They just do it in a sneaky way.
Exactly, a more covert way, or they're doing it in the locker room, you know, and it's not as pronounced. They don't call each other up and say, did you hear about Bob?
I find guys will just like one-on-one, they'll just kind of exchange the story, whereas women will all get in a gaggle and then shut the door really tight, and then all you hear is, and then somebody walks by and it's silent, and it's like, okay, you're gossiping.
We don't just exchange stories, we dissect, and we put
embellish. We do embellish a few details.
We do. Very analytical, we're processing. And gossip is essentially sharing of information. It can be chatty social talk about what's going on, just news, and sharing about what's happening in our lives, relationships, personal matters, but it's a way for us to bond, and it's a way for us to relate to other people.
So why do we choose that form of bonding? It just seems odd that that's the way we would, become girlfriends.
Right. Well, we tend to be more verbal, more communicative, and it's just something that we do naturally as human beings. Yeah, that we tend to talk a lot, we tend to communicate. Women love talking about relationships, other people, what's going on with certain people, and what we can learn from those things, so that we can, say, take information about a conflict and how to apply it in our own lives to avoid that from happening.
So in that sense, is gossip a good thing?
It can be, as long as it's factual, as long as it teaches us something and it's neutral and it's not malicious. But when we start spreading rumors about other people, or we start assassinating someone's character, it can have so many negative effects. It's simply unfair. And it can also make us look bad. People lose trust in us for being the supplier of the gossip.
True.
So how do you break that chain? How do you stop the gossip if they're in the other room going, rah, rah, rah? Do you stop it? Just say, look, listen, I'm not going to listen to it anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. Just say no to gossip. I mean, at some point, you can say, I'm not interested in participating in this. This is not helping, it's mean, it's malicious. I'm not going to repeat it. I don't want to be a part of it. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this just this weekend, and she'd heard something about a friend's sexual orientation, that there was speculation around that. She got very upset, so she stopped and said, I'm not interested in hearing about this. This is mean-spirited, and I hope you stop. I'm not going to repeat it. It's just unfair.
Do you think gossip also speaks to a person's character? Like, if you have a bunch of girlfriends who are always gossiping about, whoever in the group, should you also think to yourself, if they're so easy and so quick to talk about this person when I'm not here, they're probably talking about me as well?
Yeah, I would say so. There's no reason to think that you're not the subject of gossip when you're not there. And certain type of people tend to gossip. I find that they may be bored, they may be looking for attention, they may have nothing better to do. And again, it's that sense of power. They feel that control over other people. They can exclude people, include people. It's all about social status and things like that.
And sometimes people feel that gossiping will just make them feel like part of the group.
Yes, absolutely, because if they have information is power.
Right.
So if they have that information, then they feel that sense of power because they can wield it over other people.
Even if the information is wrong.
Yes. Yes. So if they don't have accurate information, then they make up rumors in order to have something to pass on and hold something over somebody else.
My guilty pleasure is magazines. Yes, I don't know why. Yes. I read intellectual novels, but yet I'm always driven to buy that
People magazine or something.
All the rags.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about them that draws me to them? I don't know.
Well, basically, we want to know that celebrities and personalities are just like us.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, they get so much attention and they're elevated in our society. They're put up on this pillar. We want to knock them down because we want to know that they're just like us. We want to be able to relate to them.
But being just like us, they have feelings and they read them and they see what's happening and people lying about them. And I know people who are famous and it affects them. And it's an awful thing to see someone saying, I'm just like you and me, but they write magazines about me.
Well,
it's
it
horrible.
sells. It is. It's very hurtful, but it sells.
But yet when I see a picture of a famous celebrity picking their nose in the car, I'm like, oh, that's
terrible. Now, do you think men are disgusted when they hear their wives and girlfriends gossiping? Because men don't ever seem to want to participate. They always have a look on their face like,
yeah. I see Jay over there. He's going, yes,
gossip.
Jonathan, sorry.
Gossip queen over here.
He's worse than
You're just as bad as we are.
I'm clearing my name here. I'm clearing my name. I am not just as bad as you. When I'm with my guy friends, guys don't gossip the same way because you guys get into the nitty-gritty. For a guy, gossiping is just sharing information and it's just a quick pass. It is. But guys have that, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas mentality overall. We're always protecting each other, so we don't talk in the same way.
Oh, I don't believe that.
When a woman gets into the male group, the guy gossip changes because the woman is the one who often brings us to the deeper conversations. It's true.
Yeah,
I do not believe you.
But I would agree with him because women are far more analytical about it, and we want to know the characters. I mean, who's addicted to the soap operas? Okay, some men, but mainly women. It's the who did what to who and who did who and all that kind of thing. It's the nitty gritty. And he said and she said and he said what and she said what and I can't. And men don't really get into that. It's sort of the big picture.
Right.
Right. Women are into the micro details of everything,
What
down
about
to what she wore.
gossip in families? I'm from a huge family, and there's always the Horgan hotline. Somebody's on the phone complaining about somebody, and then they call someone, and then by the end of the day, did you say that you were, you know, and it never stops.
So does that create a problem when it's inaccurate information?
Yes, and it's like playing telephone, literally, broken down telephone, and it gets crazy.
Okay, so what you can do in that case, if you find that you're on the receiving end of negative information or inaccurate information, is to contact the person, the supplier of the information. Approach them and ask them if in fact they did share that information and why. Maybe there was a misunderstanding or miscommunication. Maybe they weren't trying to spread anything malicious about you, but they simply thought that it was okay to pass it on, and just talk to them about that and ask them not to repeat it, to retract that statement, but also be aware that it may be evidence of a deeper conflict.
How can I make sure that my daughter or my son, that they don't get involved in that gossip cycle?
Okay, well, first of all, it would be good to have a conversation with them about the different types of gossip. Just chatty social talk about their friends and their family and what's going on. You know, Billy got a new bike and Susie may have a crush on Billy. That's pretty harmless as long as it's true and it's not hurting anyone's feelings. But if it's negative or malicious or speculative, then educate them about that and let them know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah,
share my experience.
Speaking of being on the speaking of being on the receiving end, if you know someone's gossiping about you, should you confront that person or just kind of let it go?
That's a good point.
Well, you always have choices. It depends on how you feel about it, but I would feel more comfortable approaching that person and talking to them about it. As I said, there may be a deeper conflict. They may be jealous of you. They may have a grudge against you.
You don't know
and exactly. So this is a good opportunity for you to approach them, to talk about it, and to clear the air.
All right.
And find out what else is going on.
Well, thank you so much, Katerina. And I still don't believe you men gossip. We're going to gossip after the show. But after this, Bill McDonald's here, and he's going to help us get ready for our first dinner party. I so need this information. And then I want to gossip.